I mentioned back in my first review that I love indie games, and you can't get much more indie than a good old-fashioned Game Jolt demo. So, for something a little bit different today, let's look at one of those. This is One More Experiment. Developed by Amber Crown Games, a small 3-person team started up in 2016 by Robin Andblom, apologies if I pronounced that wrong. One More Experiment is a futuristic puzzle game in which you play as Andrea Randall, who is awoken in her flat by a very strange noise. No sooner have you gone to look for what caused this noise than you find yourself transported to an unknown, unnamed futuristic science laboratory in which is housed some sort of weapon. Once you pick this up, Andrea sets about deciphering what the weapon can do and how it can help her escape. And thus is the core mechanic of this game introduced. It turns out that the weapon can control and manipulate the elements of fire and water, which in turn can be used by Andrea to manipulate the world around her and eventually lead her to an exit. To be honest, considering this game was developed by 3 people, this beta is pretty solid. The graphics aren't up to AAA standards, but they aren't unpleasant to look at. The colour palette is a bit limited, and everything is a tad too shiny, and the textures aren't perfect, but that's all part of the joy of genuine indie titles. The sound design is also of a good quality, and this whole package stands up against other true indie game titles. The main use of the elemental gun mechanic is in solving various puzzles as you adventure through the laboratory, and it does have to be said that these are well implemented and varied, with a lot of intelligence and game designing nous on show. I was genuinely enjoying the challenge the developers had offered, and I did get a little thrill of pride when I figured out some of the more obtuse puzzles. Now, don't get me wrong, they weren't genius or Mensa level answers, but there was enough of a challenge there to make it feel like I'd actually achieved something. And there was enough on show overall that I was genuinely disappointed when the beta ended after roughly 15 minutes of gameplay. One criticism I would have is that while the gameplay and design are pretty solid, the writing is weak. The actress who plays Andrea, Lizzie Hoff, again apologies if I've pronounced that wrong, delivers her, I think, 4 lines of speech very well, but the issue is she only has those 4 lines. We are given next to no explanation of what's going on and very little impetus or motivation as to why we need to escape, or what on earth went on to get us here. Now, I understand drip feeding a story to your audience and keeping cards close to your chest, but generally we need something more than, what's that noise? Oh, I'm fainting, I've teleported somewhere, oh look, a gun that shoots fire and water. Genuinely, given what else is on show here, I imagine that the full release is going to have a more fleshed out storyline, and I certainly hope that the introduction is more fleshed out so we know what has happened to Andrea, if not why, or at least something about it. Give us something more to go on than just, here's a game, play it. Since it's a beta, I'm not going to give One More Experiment a score out of 10, that would seem terribly unfair, but I will give it a recommendation as a one to watch from the indie game movement. Given that it's free and that there is clearly talent and intelligence on show, assuming that the game gets to full release, it could be a very, very interesting little gem of an indie game. I've been Chris for Invicta Magazine, and thank you for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments, and if you enjoyed it, please do give this video a like and a share. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and keep up with all our latest content. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, plus we stream regularly on Twitch, and you can find all those links in the description below along with our website. See you next time. Goodbye for now.